Doug Censor Martin should be starting for Boston Breach at Champs. If you can't tell, I obviously want to talk about the situation with Doug Censor Martin, everything everyone's been saying about him in the Boston Breach roster, and there's a lot more to what I just said in the opening statement. But without further ado, let's hop over to Twitter and get right into this video, and don't forget to subscribe for more CDL content. Alright, first things first, if you haven't seen this tweet here from Jacob Hale, it's one of the clips from the Courage and Nadeshot show. Nadeshot basically went on like a minute talk here, kind of talking about how he thinks Boston should have brought up Doug Censor Martin, and then they think Censor would be someone good for this team at Champs. They know he's not going to fold. Censor has a history of winning, things like that. And then Doug followed it up with the quote retweet, basically saying thank you to Nadeshot and how, you know, he follows everything Nadeshot's done. He finds it really inspiring, and that, you know, he's happy that Nadeshot is supporting him and giving this motivation. But the real question is, should the guy right here on my screen actually have been called up from the academy team to the main roster for Champs? Now, let me just say, I don't know the intricacies or the way Doug has worked with the people that are currently on the Boston team. I believe he's teamed with most of these Boston players at some point, you know, been in academy for a while now and been with Boston. So I don't know how he works with each player. I know on the flank they're talking about how him and Beans didn't work in the past. So I'm just going to hold all of that out because I don't really know exactly how that works. That's something that I'm sure the general manager and the Boston Breach organization knows, hence why they didn't actually call him up. But just going based off of what Nadeshot says, there's obviously a lot to that I actually do agree with, and I think is factual, right? Doug does know how to win. He's been on the biggest stage and succeeded in some of the biggest moments. Obviously, like Nadeshot says in the video, it's been a while since Doug has won, right? And been at the top of the top, but we know he can do it, and you know he's not going to fold under that pressure because he's proved he won't. But obviously his performances in recent years have not been good enough to bring him up to the pro level again. So my short answer is no, I don't think Doug should be called up, or I agree with the fact that he wasn't called up, but I do think there was enough reasoning or maybe enough possibility for them to take the chance on Doug. If we're keeping it 100, right, Boston is not expected to do anything really at Champs. They're probably expected to finish in 7th, 8th, and last place, right? That's kind of the way it's going to go. There's a possibility of the upset optic, or they get a win in losers bracket, right, and find themselves maybe in 5th, 6th. And of course, there's always possibility for any team to make a run because the league is relatively balanced. There is parity within the CDL. Overall, Boston is not expected to do much. So how much could it have hurt for them to bring up someone like Doug just for the sake of branding, just for the sake of the fans and viewership? I think it would bring a lot of eyes onto their team at the end of the year on the biggest stage that actually could help them going forward. Of course, Boston, if you look at the people running their organization, their GM, they want to win, right? I mean, that's what every Call of Duty team should want to do. They should want to win at the end of the day. But like I said, the expectation for Boston is super, super low. And I think just from a sole entertainment, viewership, branding perspective, bringing in Doug actually would have been pretty beneficial. Now, it's not to say I think bringing up Snoopy was a bad idea. I personally don't watch too much Challengers. I don't really keep up with it. I know the top names, but I really don't know how good they are or how deserving they are of coming up. And from what I've seen and heard about Snoopy, he definitely seems like a player who's deserving to have been brought up to this Boston team and paired alongside them at Champs. He seems like a great player, someone who could really stake his claim at this event and prove why he's worth being on a team next season. And I think this is a great opportunity for him, right? He's only 18 years old. He's a rookie. I guess technically this will be his rookie season. I don't know if maybe next year technically be his rookie season if he only ends up playing like 1 or 2 series. Of course, I would have liked to see Doug Censor Martin come up. I'm sure a lot of COD fans would. I mean, the dude has 1.2 million followers on Twitter. He's one of the most followed, recognizable faces in the Call of Duty esports, in the Call of Duty League, right? I've been following COD for well over a decade at this point, so I've seen Doug through the ups and downs of his entire career, and it would have been awesome to see him in the league again. But that's neither here nor there. Obviously, I think the better decision, if it came down to strictly picking the better player and trying to make a run at Champs, bringing up Snoopy was probably their better idea, although I think going the more entertaining route for your last event of the season, you know, maybe they should have done this at Major 5, honestly. Maybe they should have brought Doug up for Major 5, because if they qualified for Champs and it didn't work out at Major 5, they could have brought a different roster into Champs like they're already doing. I don't know. I just wanted to see Doug. I thought the entertainment and the viewership would have been great. Let me know what you think about all this down below. Do you think Nadeshot on his take was absolutely faded? I know Aches has said on the flank and on the Reverse Sweep podcast that he actually thinks they should have brought up Doug. Ben J. Nassim has said that he understands there's no way they should have brought up Doug. So there's many different sides of this story amongst the Call of Duty community and the Call of Duty personalities that talk about the game. I don't know. I think either way, there isn't a wrong decision here. The expectations for Boston are so low that no matter what happens at Champs, it's not really like they're going to fail their expectation. But yeah, like I said, let me know in the comments what you think. Would you have brought up Doug if you were the GM of love Boston Breach. With that being said, hopefully you enjoyed. Sub to the channel for more CDL content coming up with champs and the offseason roster mania, that sort of thing. And hopefully I will see you all in the next video.